Louise, and you've got our email addresses there. So if you're applying for the program or are thinking about applying for the program and require some further information after today, then you could email Louise or I directly. We'll be delighted to answer your queries. So just to give you a bit of background about me, my studies thus far are listed here. My master's is in public health. I've got a postgraduate diploma in medical law. As part of the requirement for this role, I've done postgraduate certificate in academic practice to be a qualified lecturer, and that's on the basis of BSc Honours in Advanced Nursing, and I'm also a registered general nurse. And in addition to that, I'm an independent prescriber within my country here in Scotland. I've been a registered nurse for, I didn't want to put the exact number of years down because it might frighten you and think I'm very, very old, but I've been qualified for 30 plus years. I remember very clearly the first days back as a student nurse, even though it was many, many years ago. I've built significantly on my career throughout the time. My clinical experience is predominantly within the field of cardiology. So working in cardiology wards, working in coronary care units, working in advanced heart failure service laterally, which is my specialist area of interest. I've worked in research for quite a few years as well, predominantly within the management of advanced heart failure. And for the last 6 years, I've worked in academia, so within Glasgow Caledonian University. I'm the module lead for some of the modules that we have on the programme, but I was the deputy programme lead for 3 years, and just since August of last year, I'm the programme lead. So whilst you will be on a new journey with us in GCU, I'm also on a new journey in many ways because I'm learning lots as I go through this first academic year in an advanced role for me. Louise is my deputy programme lead, and similarly to me, Louise has a lot of experience as a nurse. She didn't tell me how many years she was qualified, but a bit less than me, but she's still got a lot of experience. She's got her master's in nursing, postgraduate diploma in advanced nursing practice, and again, like me, had to do a postgraduate certificate in academic practice to be a lecturer, on building on her BSc in nursing. And likewise, Louise is also a prescriber within Scotland. Her clinical experience is based in intensive care and high dependency, and more recently as an advanced nurse practitioner. And she's been with us in Glasgow Caledonian University for 2.5 years, and has just in September taken over the role as deputy programme lead. So you may meet Louise on your pathway at some point as well. Enough about us. We'll talk about the programme now. So MSc NAP for short, MSc Nursing Advancing Professional Practice, we always refer to it as MSc NAP. The aim of the programme, as you will have seen if you've read any of the literature about the programme, is to develop the capability of already registered nurses with experience, so with some experience, to meet and identify areas where you want to build your future career. So things around political, clinical, organizational challenges that you've maybe already come across. You want to build on learning around those in order to deliver safe and effective practice at an advanced level. And that might well be in a primary care setting, it might be in a secondary care setting, or it could be within some public health environments. So the students that we see come from a range of backgrounds, secondary care, primary care, some of the public health backgrounds. So you hopefully will work and learn with a mixture of students from different backgrounds if you come to Glasgow. The programme numbers that we have is difficult to give an exact number because a lot of our students do a part-time pathway, and so it's difficult when you're looking at numbers, but approximately we have about 300 students on the programme currently. We have 2 intakes every year. We have one in September, and then the next one is in January. So if you're thinking about applying now, then you might be in the process of applying for September of 2025, or you might be in the process of applying for January 2026. In the cohort of students who start in September, you will do modules in trimester A, trimester B, and trimester C and you would aim to finish the following September. So if you start in September 2025, you would be anticipating that your finish would be September 2026 and graduating in November 2026. Because that means you're studying all through the year, there's no scope for holidays, summer holidays, particularly. You have holidays at Christmas because there's a few weeks off. You have a few weeks at the end of each trimester, but you don't have a long chunk of holidays like you would do, for example, if you started in January. So the January intake of students would do modules in trimester B, and then you don't do any modules over trimester C. So you have a big chunk of holiday time there to do whatever you choose. And then you would come back in September to start trimester A and move on in trimester B. So you would anticipate finishing your studies in May the following year. So if you start in January 2026 with us, you would anticipate your program of study would finish in May 2027 and you would graduate in July. And that would be you finished with us completely. We have, as well as international students, we have home students and students who are based in Scotland, predominantly based in Glasgow as part of our programme. And many of them, as I said already, take the option of part-time study. For yourself as an international student, the only option is full-time study. Some of our home students do full-time study as well, but not very many. So I'm not going to talk any further about the pathways or the options for part-time students because that doesn't apply to you. But I've just mentioned it today because you will see when you look at some of the information online about our program, you will see different pathways that part-time students can do, but they're not open to full-time students. So within the program of study, each trimester, you're expected to do 60 credits. Now that can be made up of any modules that are available on our program, with the exception of clinical modules. You're not able to do any of the clinical modules. You need to do advanced research methods. That's a core module for the program. You must do that and pass that before you can do your dissertation. So because of that, we ask you to do it in your first trimester of study. And the reason for that is that if you are unsuccessful in it, there's scope to try to do the second attempt and retrieve it to not delay your studies too much. So you do 60 credits in each trimester. In your third and final trimester is the dissertation, which is 60 credits in itself. The next couple of slides I've put examples of modules that you might do and how that would look in each trimester. So the first one is for someone who starts the program of study in September. So you would do from September to January, you would do advanced research methods, 30 credits. And then these two modules, applied pathophysiology and supporting anticipatory care, are two optional modules that you could do to make up the other 30 credits. And then trimester B, so January until May, you could do advanced leadership, 30 credits, becoming a health and social care educator, 15 credits, and global health, 15 credits. There is a bit of scope for choice of what modules that you do. So I just wanted to give you some examples of how this would look like. So in each of these two trimesters, you're doing 3 modules. You're doing a 30 and 2 15s. And then in trimester C, providing you've been successful in all of the above modules, and most definitely that you've been successful in advanced research methods, you would continue on and do your dissertation for 60 credits. And that would be completed by the beginning of September. Excuse me. If you start it in January, then this is a suggested pathway that you might do. Again, January to May, you must do research, advanced research methods, 30 credits. And here you could do advanced leadership. It's a 30 credit module. So in this example, you're doing 2 modules, both 30 credits. Then in trimester C, May to September, you wouldn't do any study at all. You would have a holiday. If you were unsuccessful in either of these 2 modules, you would have an opportunity in August to retrieve them to do the second attempt. But otherwise you would be on holiday. In trimester A, then you would start September to January. You would do, for example, applied pathophysiology, epidemiology, principles, application and evaluation and practice, supporting anticipatory care, and the principles and theories of public health. Now you will see there's 4 modules here, and they're all 15 credit modules. So there's quite a bit of work here on 4 different modules. So you need, if this is the option that you take, you need to be very disciplined, and you need to allocate equal amount of work time for each of these modules, because you're doing 4 modules over the same time period in order to get the 60 credits that you need. So having successfully completed all of that, then in trimester B, January to May, you would do your dissertation and finish and graduate then in July. So it's a couple of examples of pathways. You don't have to do these modules other than advanced research and dissertations. Those are the 2 must-dos. The other ones, there are some other options that you can choose. In terms of learning and teaching, how do we deliver all of the modules? Well, there's lots of different ways that we deliver them, and each module has what's called a module descriptor, and within the module descriptor, it outlines what the learning and teaching is for that module. It identifies what the learning outcomes are, and it identifies what the assessment strategy is. But overall, these are some of the things that we do from different modules. We deliver lectures, we do seminars, we do some practical classes depending on what the modules are. Mostly for the modules on this path, on this program that you would be able to access as an international student, there's only about 1 of the modules that has some practical classes, the rest of them don't. And similarly, simulation experience, most of the modules that would be open for you don't include simulation, but there's 1 that does as an option. We do group work pretty much in every module that we do, because it gives us an opportunity to collaborate with other students, many of them who are able to share different experiences from different backgrounds, perhaps from different countries. So that's really, really good learning opportunity. We do what's called the flipped classroom approaches as well, whereby an example of a flipped classroom would be the provision of work for you to do prior to coming to class. Coming to class might be coming physically to a class, or it might be attending an online class. So some of the modules are delivered face-to-face on campus, the majority of them are, and some are provided online. The visa requirement for students who come to the UK stipulates currently that the majority of teaching should be on campus. So when it would come to choosing your modules, we would guide you about what you need to do to meet the visa requirements with regards to learning. Okay, so you don't need to worry too much about that. Regardless of what learning and teaching method is used, there's a significant amount of self-study required in your own time out with class time. Okay, so that might take the form of pre-reading, so preparing before you come to class. There might be set work that you should do ahead of class. There might be some set work after class. So the lecturer may say to you, okay, we're finished now. This is the work I want you to follow up on. So you would do that as part of your learning. In addition, there would be study that you do just yourself in order to meet the learning outcomes of the module. The amount of self-study that you need to do, self-directed study, depends on your own level of knowledge and learning, and how quickly or what approach you take to learning. It all depends. It all differs depending on the individual person. So you would be the best person to make the judge of how much time is required for that. Assessments, as I said, within each module descriptor, the assessment strategy is outlined, but these are all the assessment strategies that we use. So most modules have a piece of written coursework that you need to submit. So it might be in the form of an essay, it might be a report about something, a case study, a literature review. Your dissertation, of course, will be a written piece of work that you submit. So there's various different strategies even within the written coursework section. Some modules do assessment by oral coursework. So you might do a presentation, you might have a structured conversation where you meet with the lecturer on a platform similar to this, and you have a professional conversation with them about whatever the topic is, or you might do it face-to-face within a classroom. Some modules use group work as an assessment strategy. So within a group of 2 or 3, 4, 6 students, you'll work together and you get a joint mark for your submission. Blogs or portfolios are another way of submitting work for assessment. Presentations, you might be asked to do a presentation within your class time, which is assessed as part of your coursework. So similar to what I'm doing now, and the lecturer would give you marks based on an agreed marking grid. What you'd be expected for clarity of presentation, for your slides, for content, etc. So there's various different options for that. There's also formal examinations where you would sit a formal examination, or class tests. Sometimes they're described as class tests, where you would sit probably what you would traditionally do as a student at school. You would do a formal examination. All of the details for each are detailed on the module descriptor. I would guide you to avoid choosing your modules based on the assessment structure, or the assessment strategy, sorry. Some people like to choose exams because they can learn stuff for exams better than they can do coursework for a written submission. I would advise you not to choose your modules based on that, because sometimes the assessment strategies change, and that can be updated at any time. So choose your modules based on what you want to learn, not what the assessment strategy is. In terms of student support that's available to you within Glasgow Caledonian University, there's many different ways that you can access support from the programme lead, from the deputy programme lead, from all of the module leads who you will meet through your time here. There's also peer support, so from fellow students that you're learning with. That's an amazing source of support, because many of the students will have similar struggles and similar worries and similar challenges to what you may have as a student here. There's an amazing support service within our library. We have 2 dedicated librarians for our School of Nursing, and they are phenomenal. They help you with literature search, and they have drop-in sessions to support you. Within many of the modules, we have academic librarians come and do a session within the modules to help you. But with that time, you can contact them separately, and they have an amazing website as well that you can have access to. Equally, we have an amazing team within the Learning and Development Centre. And again, we have a couple of people specific to the School of Nursing who we include. The librarians are included in our induction at the start of your programme. Equally, the staff from the Learning and Development Centre are also included in the inductions at the start of each academic year. And we have their services threaded throughout most of the modules in the programme as well. And you can also go along to one-to-one appointments with them. You can have a group meeting with them if you have a group of friends or peers on the module who are having similar problems, then you might arrange a group appointment with them, and they provide support. And they again have an amazing website which has phenomenal information on there. And it's information that I as a lecturer look at on a regular basis for guidance for myself as well as for students. So it's a really good resource. We have a Visa and International Student Support Service, which, as you would expect, deals specifically with visa queries and any particular queries around international students. So it might be around settling into Glasgow, where to find this, about accommodation and these kind of things that you'll get support with. IT services help you with any IT issues. Induction itself, as I've mentioned already, we have a specific induction for our programme of study, MSc NAP, and then there's a wider school induction. So you would have access to both of those, and I would strongly encourage you, if you come to Glasgow, that you would attend these, because it's a good opportunity to meet people as well as start to tap into the support services that are available. We have a student wellbeing services and counselling services, which, should you run into difficulties whilst you're a student on the programme, these are the people that we would direct you to for various different difficulties that you might have throughout your studies. They're a very, very good service. We have a disability service for students who either have known already that they have a disability and you might need additional support, or it might be something that occurs during your program of study that you've identified you might require additional support with. The disability service is there for you. And then we have many social activities, which for students is a very, very valuable part of life. It's a valuable part of life in any university. It's a valuable part of life in Glasgow. I hope if you do decide to join us in Glasgow that you will participate in some of the social activities within the universities. And there's links to social things out with the university. So you start to build your social support group, as well as your peer student support group, is very, very important. And just really finally to say, I mentioned it briefly earlier about clinical placements. We are not in a position to offer clinical placements as part of this program of study to international students. There's not any opportunity within the modules that you're able to do any clinical placements. Equally, there is not any opportunity to participate in Nursing and Midwifery Council registration preparation. As you know, you have to be a registered nurse within your own country and be on your professional registration, your professional body's council register before being accepted onto the program. And some students, when they come to the UK, want to join the Nursing and Midwifery Council, which is the UK version of your professional body. There's a program that's required to do that. The MSc Nursing Advanced Professional Practice within GCU program does not offer any opportunity to meet the requirements that are stipulated by the Nursing and Midwifery Council. It's a completely separate thing. Graduating with an MSc in Nursing Advanced and Professional Practice will not allow you to join the Nursing and Midwifery Council register in order to practice in the UK as a registered nurse. There is another significant piece of work that you need to do for that, and we don't have anything to do with that in GCU. So I just wanted to say that to highlight it, because many applications that I see from international students have a strong desire to do clinical placements, to be advanced nurse practitioners, to be advanced clinical nurse specialists, to join the Nursing and Midwifery Council register here in the UK, and we're not able to do that currently. And I think that is my last slide. It's just really an opportunity for you, if you have any questions based on what I've said, if you need me to say anything again, or if there's anything that I have missed, then please post them in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sinead. That was great. I have added a comment in the box for anyone who is in attendance at the moment to ask any questions that you may have for Sinead. Obviously, bearing in mind that it's not always everyone's preference to ask in these kind of open forums. So what I'm also going to do is just add the email address for our inquiries team. Should you have any further questions? That's great. There's a comment there from me saying thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you for listening.
That's great. And just to reiterate as well that the webinar itself will be recorded, so we can send this out to anyone who's been in attendance today, and also to all those who registered their interest in it, so that they have a copy of all of the information that Sinead has shared. It's all very useful and very helpful when it comes to making your decision about whether to study at GCU. So I don't see any other questions coming in, Sinead. So I think we are good.
Okay.
Good to go. But
Brilliant.
I just want to say a quick note to say thank you so much for giving up your time and for the very informative